Wake up, Gamecock land. That's right. It's me. It's your buddy, your friend, your pal, the Rooster Man. Are we feeling a little rock and roll, a little hip hop, maybe a little country? You know what? We all feeling excited. Couple more weeks left. Hey, August 31st, coming fast. Coming fast. Are we feeling the excitement yet? Had our first scrimmage game. Want to talk a little bit about the O-line because that seems to be the subject of today. Watch some Inside the Gamecocks with J.C. Sherbert. Brought up a name. I mean, he wasn't the only one, but the name kind of came out this week. We heard a little buzz around spring. Shed Surratt, young man, making some noise to maybe grab a starting position on this O-line. So let's talk about the O-line a little bit. We talk a little bit about the struggles, right? We know the struggles of 2023, the injuries and everything that went on, and it just did not look good. Giving up, I think it was 10 sacks against North Carolina to start the season. It started bad and it didn't get any better. Didn't help that you had guys actually getting injured before the season ever started. And a lot of people blamed it on it, which is another rumor going on around now. They were blaming it on the shoes and the equipment. I guess now there's some question whether South Carolina will stick with Under Armour or whether they'll have another brand, whether it's Nike, Adidas. Who comes through the door with the money? I guess Under Armour may be having some money issues or something, so people are curious on whether that relationship will continue into the future. I'd say with basketball, if Don Staley has any input, you might even see a Jordan brand rolling around South Carolina. But who knows? Who knows? That's future talk. We won't know that stuff. And found out today, I think it was JB over there on Inside the Gamecocks also was talking about that discussion won't even happen until January. So, caught that today. Really hadn't heard that much about brand changes or anything like that until today. I know it's been a bitch from South Carolina fans and stuff for a while now, but we'll see how that works out at the end of the year. Looks like Tennessee, I saw somewhere too that they're switching out of Nike, maybe back to Adidas. So we'll see what South Carolina ends up on that. But right now our conversation is back on the O-line. Wanted to talk about the struggles, of course, of the O-line. Last year gave up much sacks, and we've talked about this a little bit in one of my other videos, that automatically when a quarterback gets sacked, the first people that are looked at are the O-line. And, you know, Shane Beamer talked about this before, too. It's not always just the O-line. Sometimes your tight end whiffs on a block. Sometimes you're running back. Even in the LSU game last year, we saw some linebackers that made it through and put pressure on Lenore. That was a running back miss on at least getting in the way of that linebacker. So there's other ways, you know, getting rid of the ball. One of the stats that came out, everybody's talked about, is the speed of Lenore Sellers getting rid of the football. A little over 3 seconds, which is now everybody, even the NFL, you know, they want that thing cut down to a little over 2 seconds before you get rid of the football. That means getting through your progressions faster. So some of the conversations is Mike Shula working with Lenore Sellers on making this type stuff happen, getting rid of the ball, feeling more confident in your receivers to let go of the ball and let them make a play. So there you have to have separation. Your wide receivers have to create separation and give you space to put the ball in. You know, there's always talk about Nick Harbor and Nick can't catch and Nick can't do this and Nick can't do that. I rarely saw Nick get a ball where he has an opportunity to run after the catch. You know, he's kind of a big guy, so it takes him a little while to get wound up. Now, can Nick Harbor go out and run as fast as he can and catch a football? That's very difficult, because that's an adjustment within catching a football. And if you're full speed, and anybody that's ever ran full speed, it's hard to adjust to doing anything because you're so focused on running full speed. So, create space. Sometimes a quarterback has just got to trust that the spot he's throwing the ball, that the guy will be there when he gets there. Sometimes, you want to not throw interceptions, but every once in a while you have to take a chance and let a guy go make a play for you. But I wanted to kind of go over, there's been a big subject. Why South Carolina, a lot of these media heads aren't picking South Carolina. Well, they got too many changes. They got too many changes on offensive line and defensive line. They lost all these guys or whatever. Well, we did the defensive video and we talked about the front seven. That video's done great. I appreciate all you guys that have watched that video, threw a thumbs up on there. That's been my biggest video since restarting my channel, and I appreciate that from every y'all. But don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Don't forget to share. Help Rooster grow the channel. I appreciate it. All you fellow Gamecocks that watch my videos. Why the name change of the channel? Why did I go away from Gamecocks Lockdown? Some comments and a little confusion of people thinking I was locked on. Locked on Gamecocks locked down. So I'm like, you know what? I'm getting away from it. I don't have anything against the guys that locked down. I just think they're boring as shit. Not to mean no harm, but I've tried to watch all different kinds of lockdowns all over, all different kind of teams to gather information. But I'm sorry, guys. That's just boring. It's just boring the way they do it, and it's just like having too many rules. It's like when I tried to do the voice of South Carolina with Mark Rogers, and I love Mark to death, good dude or whatever, but just way too many rules on. I like to cuss every once in a while. If I get mad, I'm going to cuss. If I got something I need to cuss about, I'll cuss about it. Like I really want to cuss about Greg McElroy, but then I realized Greg McElroy is just mad because we smacked him around back in 2010. So, he's going to hate the Gamecocks forever. We broke some kind of streak he was on, winning streak or something, but he'll get over it, right? We get him, Greg, I'll give you a little pat on the head, dude. But back to talking about the offensive line. Who do we think is going to be the starters week 1? And I think even my original thinking has changed over recent information, scrimmage, practices. Now it may change again, and who knows, by the end of fall camp before the first game it may change again. But Bo Stanley, I think we knew, pretty much we've heard and knew from the beginning that he's going to be starting center. I think we all know Josiah Thompson was going to be the starting left tackle. Now, outside of that, there was a lot of questions because you had a lot of guys, Torcella Simpkins and those type. He's gone, moved on, playing for the Saints, protecting Spencer Rattler. Good job, Torcella. Don't let Rattler get hurt or hit, brother. But those two, I think everyone had a great feel about. The rest was a little bit questionable. I heard, and I can't tell you who the interview's from. I'd love to give them credit, but they were talking about, and it might have been John Strickland talking about Trayvon Ball. Or somebody, one of the coaches had told them that every morning when they show up to the facility that Trayvon Ball was in there in the weight room working out, changing his body, getting rid of fat, gaining muscle. Still a big kid, you know what I mean? But wanted to transition his body, so he put the work in. And it sounds like he's going to be the right guard now. And left guard, I think a lot of people assumed it was going to be Nick Sharp that came in, or Big Tree that was going to take that left guard spot. Well, now it sounds like maybe Big Tree's the right tackle, which now I kind of heard. I heard they were working everywhere. They had these guys bouncing around, moving everywhere, getting used to playing different stuff. Casey Henry, who was our right tackle last year, a lot of people wasn't happy with him and his blocking and that type of stuff. They were looking to make a move. They didn't know who it would be. Well, we know Tree bounced in and had to play at left tackle as a freshman. Trayvon Ball came in as a guard, as a true freshman. So when you kind of look at this offensive line, people may say that because they look at guys transferring in and the guys that left, but these guys have starts. I think Big Tree has like 10. I think Trayvon has like 8. These guys have starts. Are they the most experienced offensive linemen? No, but they've also been around a few years now and gained a bunch of experience and practice, working on their skills every day. So, will it be Big Tree? Will it be Case and Henry at right tackle? It'll work itself out. They'll put the 5 best players on there. But one thing about it is the size of the offensive linemen now at South Carolina. This kind of reminds us of the old Arkansas type offensive lines. And now, don't get me wrong. That's just kind of the thing in the SEC. You look around Alabama, Georgia, all these guys, they're all up in that big, somewhere between 320, 330 or above offensive lines. I know Texas is kind of like that too. So you start looking at these guys, and you talk about Bose. Bose might be one of the shortest guys on the offensive line. And hell, that kid's 6'3", 325, but a lot of times you don't want your center to be the tallest guy because the quarterback's looking over him to see what's going on the field. So 6'3", 325, got a good head on his shoulders. Listened to his interview the other day. Very mature young man, understands where he's at and what he's doing. Seems very smart, the kind of guy you want in the middle of that line that'll be calling out blocking schemes. And you look at Big Tree, if he is starting 6'5", 330. Redshirt sophomore. He did get a red shirt back last year, which I think was kind of a plan. South Carolina wanted to get that year back on him, and that adds him back in for another year, unless he just takes off and ends up in the NFL a year early. If Nick Sharp does come in, he's 6'2", 340. You got Marquis Anderson, another guy that is trying to get himself after, I think he had some back problems, hasn't really gotten on the field, but when he's on the field, you hear great things about him. Another 6'4", 326 kid. So this offensive line is going to be, got to be close 330 pound offensive line. Some couple other guys we talked about that put on some weight. I mean, you got Blake Frank sitting back there too. Another young guy that's fighting to get in on that, 6'5", 336. We talked a little bit about Shed Surratt at 6'4", 336. These are some big boys. Josiah Thompson, right now they're reporting him up around 310. Now, Josiah is 6'7". Tall guy. Needed to put on some weight. He did look lean last year. And he had a big learning curve. True freshman, left tackle in the SEC against some of the best pass rushers in the country. It was trial by fire for him. And he struggled at times, and he looked really good at times. But I have all the confidence in the world he'll be much, much better in his year, too. Case and Henry, 6'6", 310. Ball, 6'3", 335. We watched Jatavius Shivers play some last year, 6'6", 325. I mean, these are some big, big boys on South Carolina's offensive line. The road graders, right? Everybody talks about South Carolina just signing this heavy equipment company that's going to have stickers on. Well, we got our own heavy equipment on that offensive line. And I want to see them get better and get enough rotation and enough good guys to where into these games when you really need to run the football, say you got a lead and you need to wind down the clock, you can get these road graders and you can run behind them. You can just keep pushing. Because I was a small one, but I did play a little bit of offensive line back in my junior varsity days and all that stuff. We love to run the football. Most offensive linemen really don't care to pass block. We don't like someone coming at us. We have to step back and let someone come at us. We like initiating contact. We like moving people. There's nothing like a goal line stance, and you're down on the goal line, and you're offensive lineman, and you want to get that push and get your quarterback or your running back into the end zone. You want to nosebleed somebody. And nothing feels better than that to an offensive lineman. Now, I didn't play that in high school. I was too small, got moved around a little bit, and some cornerback in my day. Yeah, that's the slowest cornerback y'all ever seen in your damn life for sure. But I could hit people. That's why they kind of put me there, I guess, cornerback. They just when I played high school, nobody was chunking it around like they chunk it around these days. That's back in the old dive days when you were running dive plays and sweeps and options and that kind of stuff. It's kind of, plus I played at a small-ass little school. In case any of y'all South Carolina people know the Ellery Warriors, baby. I was a Warrior from Ellery High School back in the day. It doesn't even exist anymore. It's Lake Marion. They united all of the Santee, Holly Hill, and all those little small towns, Utah, into one bigger high school, Lake Marion High School. Ellery Roy is not around no more. But yeah, we want these offensive line to be able to get some push, and help these running backs out, help their quarterback out, make some lanes, and not you know what I'm saying, not get knocked out, back on their heels or anything. Just, it's the SEC, man. You're gonna give up sacks, but you can't give up 40 plus. And I'm not blaming it all on the offensive line. But that's the first thing that people say and think when they think of a sack. When realistically now, with a lot of these defenses and stuff like that, they're blitzing linebackers up the middle, which should be a pickup by your running back. Running backs aren't really fond of blocking either. Some love it, but most of them want a ball in their hand and they want to be running down the field. If you notice, South Carolina brings a tight end inside sometimes to maybe pick up some of those inside blitzes and help with the blocking schemes. But I think our tight ends will help in this blocking too. I mean, you got Brady Hunt. I think he's a good blocker. I think Mo Brown will be a guy. I want to say Mo's half tight end, halfback, fullback. I think we're going to see him kind of. He did that role some last year, and I think you're going to see that again, where he's kind of behind the offensive lineman doing some blocking, and on the end of the offensive line doing some blocking. So I expect that out of him, and he's really good at it. The little bit I seen him do it last year, the kid's good at it. Look, that kid puts his heart in everything he does anyway, so he's going to sacrifice his body to help this Gamecock team win, and you got to throw out mad respect to him for that. But anyway, guys, that's kind of my pick on the offensive line this year. I really think now it's looking like maybe it's going to be Tree at one tackle, Josiah at the other tackle, Shed Surratt maybe at left guard is what they're saying. Ball at right guard, Bo Stanley in the middle. If not, I think Nick Sharp will be your left guard, but he may not hold that all year. Even if Casey Henry starts right tackle, he may not be there all year. Watch out, because these younger guys are putting a push on to get some starting time. Hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, share the videos, holler, make comments. Tell me who you're starting five. Who y'all think's gonna make it? What's the buzz around? I don't know. When I watched Beamer's press conference, I'm not gonna beat up on the reporters too bad, but then I watched Sam Pittman's press conference. I think our guys need to ask a little better questions, because Sam Pittman's was all about football, about players, about positions, who's doing what. I haven't really heard a lot about our linebackers. I mean, there's some positions if I was sitting in that room I'd like to ask about, and about the guys and how they're doing, that we really didn't get in Shane Beamer's press conference. So maybe the guys will get more questions out there next week and talk a little bit about linebacker I'd like to know about. I'd like to hear a little bit more about tight ends and how well they're doing. And hey, my next video, no fly zone. Take the hint. Talk to y'all later. Peace. Have a wonderful